Hello and welcome back to another episode of Project Oarai. Now we're looking right now at the old map theme. I've been meaning to change it for quite a while now, ever since moving over to render it. I noticed that my game kind of just felt very dull and washed out and just very... It just looked very bland, and white textures, were just super bright, and it was just awful. I know with the harbor episode, a lot of the boats kind of just, it felt like there was a flashbang going off, and it was just super annoying. So I've gone ahead and changed it. I've done this first clip so you can see the difference between the new clip, which you should be hitting right about now. You can see that it's a lot brighter, it looks a lot more warmer, as I've been told, and it looks a lot cleaner, I think. A lot more crystal clear. We can see the difference between so many different colors now, and it doesn't feel washed out at all. And the nice thing is the white textures don't flashbang you when you look at them. They look really good, to be honest. I'm very happy with how it turned out. And if anyone's super interested in the new map theme and whatnot, I can happily include some links, or I can put a little collection together really quick for it. But basically, I'm using the coastal theme with more relight LUT, and I'm using the LUT natural relight too, and I just think it looks great. I finally managed to sit down with Render It and finally get rid of some of the problems I had, because ever since moving over to it, I noticed sometimes I'd load into the game and the theme would change, or it'd be on a different one, and then I'd have to manually re-go over and do it. And I'll be honest, it's kind of my own fault in a way. I downloaded Render It and I just kind of called it a day. I didn't do anything, even though I was having little problems with it. Whereas I've sat down with it now, I've gone over all the settings that I was interested in and what I think looked really nice, and I've actually managed to get rid of a lot of the visual problems that I was having, especially some with the shadows. I don't know if you noticed, but the shadows for a few episodes have felt kind of extra flickery. That's the word I'm going to use, extra flickery. I just felt like they flickered worse than they've ever flickered. And I've gone ahead and I don't know why, but now they don't seem to flicker as much. They still flicker, don't get me wrong. There's not a lot I can do about that. It's something to do with the engine of the game, too many shadows and all that type of stuff in one location, because obviously they never imagined us to play like this with as many mods as what we do and as many buildings, and yeah, it's basically that. Anyways, let's actually get on with the episode, shall we? Okay, so I actually had a lot of ideas of what I actually wanted this area to be. I originally wanted a huge construction site to be here, and I was gonna make it completely out of PO, and it was gonna go like down into the earth, and it was gonna have multiple stages, so that it was basically going to be like a skyscraper that was slowly being built, and also other buildings that I was going to make completely out of props and PO and other stuff together. And I tried it, and the idea was great. I think it's going to be really good in another episode somewhere else in the city, because I found very quickly that the idea and the size and the scale for the project of a fully customizable construction site that goes down into the earth as well as above, with multiple floors and multiple buildings being constructed, I found didn't fit this area. It was too small, and it just kind of looked a little bit weird. And another idea that I had for this area is I'd noticed that there'd just been some new swimming pool assets released on the workshop that look absolutely incredible, and I had an idea of having them along the beachfront. And It looked okay. Don't get me wrong, it looked good. It kind of blended in, like it was going to be like an open public pool style, if you will. I know where I used to live, there used to be a very similar thing to that along the beach front. Like they had a water stream that was going through, as well as water trickling down, and a little swimming pool section. Not very deep at all. You couldn't drown in it, let's be honest. But you could kind of swim in it a little bit. And I had the same idea for here, but I just found, yet again, it looked good and all, but it didn't really kind of feel like it should be here. It should be somewhere else in the city. So I've kind of archived these ideas for like future episodes. I think a construction site will be really good. I think that'll probably be done over multiple episodes, because the scale and the size and the detail that I would want for a fully PO'd custom skyscraper being built, as well as other little buildings all on the construction site and all the other stuff that's involved in that, is quite a lot of work. So you never know, maybe that'll be the project after the beach, because this is the last beach episode. Like, we're fully done along the beachfront. And I'm going to be releasing, maybe within the middle of the week or something, just like maybe a 5 or 6 minute video. It's just going to be cinematics only, and it's going to be the full beachfront, because we've put a lot of work into this beachfront, and it's finally finished, and it just looks absolutely great. Now, as for the episode, you remember me saying before that I didn't want this to be a lot of copy and paste, because the other areas they were following a train track, and there was just a lot of buildings, commercial buildings, beach parts to it, and it did kind of feel very samey to me in a way. And I don't really like to do a lot of the same things over and over every week, unless I'm doing like a part 1, part 2, or whatever at the time. So I really wanted this next area to be completely different to what we have done so far along the beachfront. And what is here on Google Earth, hence me saying a construction site, is actually a construction site on Google Earth. And with us not going with that idea, I was left with wondering, well, what else can I put here? And I have basically come up with kind of a big-ish park that you could go and walk around, and we're going to have some shrines in amongst it as well as some like public facilities and all that lovely stuff. But I want it all to work as well, but I think because of the location that it's currently in, I tried to get the Sims to kind of walk around it for the cinematics and stuff like that, and they were just having none of it. So I don't know if maybe I need to go off camera and relook at all the nodes for the paths, because they don't seem to be wanting to use the paths at all. So I'm thinking something somewhere isn't connected, or something's just not right somewhere. So what I've gone ahead and done is just gone and put down some prop people for the cinematics, which actually turned out a lot better than what I was expecting. I thought it was going to kind of look a little bit weird because they're not moving and whatnot, but it turned out quite well, to be honest. And I actually kind of like it, so who knows, it might stay like that. But for the first part of this episode, we are going to be kind of just, I'm not doing too much along this road that you can see, and it's because I'm not sure what I'm doing opposite the road. And what I mean is, I've tried to throw out some ideas that you might be able to see throughout this episode, where you can see stuff placed over there. And it was just me kind of testing out some ideas before I built this place, as I often do. I often go around my map and just throw stuff down and kind of see how it looks, really. And I've left the roadsides here kind of looking very plain. There's just a standard hedge and a fence, and that's kind of the length of detail I'll be going to along this road until I figure out what's going opposite, because I want there to be some sort of bridge that goes across or walkway that somehow links to this place. But until I can figure out what's going to happen across the road, I've not included that in this episode because obviously I don't know what's getting put over there, so I don't want to place something where it might be, only to find out that I've gone through all that work of like figuring out where that's going to be and then taking room out for something else that could have been there, to then, you know, it's not going to be put in there anyways, if that makes any sense. Man, my rambling is extra rambly today, damn. Okay, so rambling aside now, let's get back on track, shall we? I'm going to be doing a lot of bushes and trees and grass in this episode. And to make the episode not at least 30 minutes of putting down trees and bushes and grass and all this type of stuff, I figured that it would be better if I just did the areas. Well, I did a couple of the areas so you could kind of see how I've done them. Even though I've done a lot of these similar areas in the past, I always like to show anyway, just in case there's any new viewers and all that type of stuff. And you know me, I like to kind of show as much as I can without editing it away. But I figured, you know, there's only so much trees and bushes and all that type of stuff before you're thinking, okay, I've been watching you place trees now for about 20 minutes straight. So I go ahead and I edit out quite a bit of it so that you'll only see me do a couple of the areas and the other areas just pop in. Because it's just a lot of the same old stuff. Like this area here, I'm just putting down some plant beds because they're on different levels and I wanted these plant beds to kind of go up in height so you could see. And then later on in the episode, I'm going to fill them with bushes and trees. And I believe I even put like a little wall along it as well, just to kind of cut it off, because obviously this is the beach level and then the area behind it, I wanted it to be on a different level just so it didn't look like it was just complete flat terrain. And I think as well that when you actually start to throw in a little bit of different heights like this, it just makes the areas look better, to be honest. And I mainly build flat anyways, because I still find it even now difficult to build at different heights. Even though I'm trying to incorporate it as much as I can where I can. Because I know that when you pull it off, it does look really nice. And this area here, actually a friend recommended on actually keeping it, because I wasn't going to, and he said to keep it because obviously all the areas that are along this area kind of need like maintenance and stuff, and it would make sense that there would be some sort of buildings nearby for the park where all their maintenance would be run through. So I end up putting some maintenance buildings and sorry, not buildings, props and stuff down there at the bottom. And it also leads out onto the road, which is pretty good. But this is one of them areas that I was talking about where I'm going to be placing some stuff down and then we're just kind of going to snip away and then other parts are going to be done. Because this is just... I think I've done a similar thing like this in the past before where I've done like a load of chess tables and then I've put people at them, and I just think they look kind of nice, to be honest, especially like when you start putting trees around them and a load of other decorations. I just think they really start to pop off a little bit, to be fair. Now, a little bit later on, we are going to be moving over to the right of the area that we're in at the moment, where the shrine is kind of going to be. It's not so much like a shrine, it's just kind of like a couple of buildings and a couple of statues and all that type of stuff. It's a very public park, but I had to work with water and getting the right depth for the next area, and I actually ended up spending a lot of time on that, so I've just cut it from the actual video because I had to deal with a lot of water overspilling, and then the area that I actually did, I didn't like the size of it, and it was just a lot of like flattening, digging out, flattening, digging out, and I just didn't think it would make for a great viewer experience. So I've gone ahead and just edited that part out so that when we eventually do move over to the right, we're kind of just going to cut to the grass and sorry, not the grass, the water and stuff for that next area is going to already be there. I've got to say as well, I'm actually kind of glad that I decided to go with this park instead of sticking with the construction site, even though it wasn't really fitting the area and didn't really kind of look like it should be here. At least not what I was trying to build, at least. And I am glad though that I have decided to put a park here instead of the construction site, which I was going to put here anyways, because I find parks and stuff like this actually to be quite difficult. And I'm glad that I went ahead and did this anyways, because it's given me a lot more experience actually building parks. And I've also been able to test out quite a few little different ideas, which you'll be able to see from the two sides of the park, and you'll be able to see some things that kind of maybe look a little bit weird. And it was just me kind of testing out ideas, because I know I've said it before, but just south of where the city center is, I want to build like a huge park there. Like, it's going to be massive, and I want it to look super realistic, and I want it to look, at least if I get like really good like realism out of it, I want it to just look really good, if not. Because my ideas for that other area is I want there to be like a huge tower, kind of like the Tokyo Tower, but similar to that, and other places that have big towers. And I want there to be like a big one, but I also want there to be like a pond that goes all the way around. And I just want it to look super, super good. I don't know what more I can say, but this has been really great because it's given me the opportunity to actually test out some other ideas, like doing these hedges and then putting like some flowers in between them, because it reminds me of a place where I used to live. There was a park called Suwabi Park, and there was areas like this in it that'd be surrounded by hedges and fences, to where you're not allowed to go in there, but the gardeners of the place obviously can go in there and maintain it. And they'd have all this lovely stuff behind this very low hedge, so you could take pictures and stuff, and it just looked really nice. And I thought, well, why can't we just throw in some of them type of areas here? And much like the one that I was talking about, there was also like a tiny bit of a park there. There was also a little bit of a zoo as well, but I think throwing a zoo into somewhere is a bit too much for me at the moment. Although a zoo is kind of... I have looked at things, to be honest. Just trying to figure out how I would do it, to be honest, to where it'd look kind of good. So yeah, be on the lookout for a zoo episode. Spoilers, by the way. Zoo episode coming soon. Anyways, yeah, so I'm just gonna put down a play park. It's nothing too fancy, but it's just a play park really, and we've got a couple of new assets for it. And I do need to chill with the new assets, because when I was trying to change my map theme, I tried to use Theme Mixer 2.5, and all it did was repeatedly crash my game over and like I'd load into my game and I'd think, okay, this is good, and then I'd try to like build, and then within about 2 or 3 minutes my game would just hard crash over and over and over. So if you're wondering what version of Theme Mixer I'm using the old one. I'm using Theme Mixer 2.0. I imagine it's just called Theme Mixer 2, because 2.5 just repeatedly crashes my game. As well as, I'm kind of glad, because I don't really like the UI of Theme Mixer 2.5, to be honest. It's just a bit, I don't know. I'm the type of person that you give me something one way and then you change something, I'm like, nah, I don't like it anymore. You've changed it. You could change like the color of something's background and I'd be like, no, don't like it anymore. Changed it, you've ruined it. But yeah, that's just the type of person I am. But yeah, this park, it's just meant to be small. I didn't want to do like a huge one, even though there's going to be like, I imagine there'd be like quite a lot of traffic coming through here, to be honest. With it being so close to the beachfront, especially where we built that huge car park in the harbour episode, like that car park was massive. And yeah, it was just massive compared to any other car park that I've done. So if you're wondering why there's been no car park built for any of this stuff, it's because I imagined you'd just drive through and go and use that car park and then you'd walk the rest of the way here, because otherwise it would be crazy. So this is the area that I was really excited for. I've done this from my noggin. There's no Google Earth, at least as far as I'm aware, that I've taken inspiration from. This is just from my own brain, so it kind of doesn't look as good as other stuff, I don't think, but it's turned out quite well, because I wanted the shrine and stuff to be kind of as you walk through the gates from the road, and I wanted there to be kind of a community within the shrine area of all the people that would keep the upkeep of the park. So all the people that would upkeep all the plants and the facilities and buildings and all that type of stuff would live on the grounds. And that's what that bridge there is to the right. I'm going to do, like, it's not going to be super detailed because I want it to be kind of like old there. So there's no like electricity running through it or nothing. It's just very old school. I don't think old school is probably the right term to use for like Japanese stuff, but yeah, old style. So you'll be able to see that a little bit later on as well. Wow, I've just been thinking, actually, now that we're actually finished with the beach section, I actually kind of don't know where I should build next. Because we've kind of done the city center, at least around it, sufficiently enough to where I know where other stuff is going to go. Okay, so we're kind of reaching the end of the episode a little bit because I'm starting to ramble, and I say it all the time, but I need to stop recording voiceovers at night because I'm just super tired, and I won't be surprised if I kind of just say the same thing and don't even realize it. But anyways, getting off topic, what I want to know is where nearing... Well, actually, no, we're not even nearing. What am I even on about? We're actually finished with the beach now. Like, we've done the entire side of it now. And I'm not sure where I should go from here. So, I'm going to do a community poll at some point within the next day or two. But also, I would love to know as well in the comments where you think we should actually start building next. Like, obviously, don't say something like the airport, because I've already said the airport is going to be the very last episode that we ever do for Project Oarai. Like, you know, if there's an airport episode, that's it. We're done. That's it. It's the end. So, anything other than that. So, yeah, let me know in the comment section where you think we should build now, because we've done the town centre sufficiently enough to where we know where other stuff is going to go around it. So let me know where or what we should build next, apart from Universal Studio. And I know that you're very hyped for it, but I don't have everything I need for it yet. And I also think that for the Universal Studios, I need to be in the right frame of mind to build that area, because it's going to be mega detailed and it's going to take a lot of mental power to build that place. So yeah, anything else that you can think of apart from an airport and Universal Studio, let me know in the comments section, because I would love to know, as well as we are going to do a community poll within the next couple of days as well. So if you've stuck with me up until this point, I want to thank you for listening to me ramble and just talk nonsense as I usually do. And I do hope you enjoy the rest of the episode. And like always, I'll see you all in the next one.